So let's go on and look at the agenda for what we'll be covering this evening. We are going to cover one extra feature that we've introduced this year, which is our Success Community. That's an online community that will support you in using Salesforce and connecting with others in the community. We'll cover some of the milestones in the release process, and then we'll hand over to Kristen and Harish from our Data.com team, who will take you through some of the new features that are coming in the release. We will have time at the very end of the session for questions and answers, and we'll ask that you keep your questions until the end. They won't be done over audio because, as I said, you're in listen only mode. But if you look at your GoToMeeting control panel, there is a questions panel in that. You can type questions at any stage during the webinar. So, if you see something that you want further clarification on, type it in there. But as I said, we'll get to the questions at the very end of the webinar. So don't worry if you type and you don't get an answer back immediately. We'll get to it at the end. So before we go in and cover the new enhancements to Data.com, I want to introduce, for those of you who aren't familiar to it, our Success Community. So the Success Community is an online portal. It's a one-stop shop for you to get answers, access help and training, log ideas or enhancement requests for the platform, and connect with other Salesforce users. And one of the key features of it are the collaboration groups that we have. Now, we have two dedicated collaboration groups set up to help you get up to speed on new releases. We have our Success Release Readiness Premier group, which is for Premier Success Plan subscribers. And we have our Standard or Success Release Readiness group for standard customers. Now, accessing those is really, really easy because it's actually integrated into your Salesforce system. You can either go to success.salesforce.com or you can simply access them from your old Salesforce organization. Just go to the Help and Training tab. Success.salesforce.com will open up. You can click on the Collaboration tab and then search for our community groups to join. Now, the important thing about these groups is that that's our primary channel for getting information about the new release to you, including the recordings that we're making not only of this webinar, but of previous webinars in the series as well. So join the groups. As we'll see in a second, the first of our big release weekends is actually happening next weekend. So even if you haven't looked at any of the previous webinars in this series that we've run on Sales Cloud, Service Cloud, Collaboration Cloud, and Data.com, we will have the recordings there and we will be able to answer any questions that you have. This being a Salesforce presentation, I, of course, have to include our Safe Harbor statement. Our Safe Harbor statement simply means that this presentation may include forward-facing information referring to features that we have not yet released. So it's quite important that if you're thinking of making any purchasing decisions, you make those based on the features that are generally available to you now and not on ones that we may or may not release in the future. Okay, so a quick overview of some important dates related to the winter release. So the first big date that we have coming up is actually tomorrow. It's Friday. So that's when we have what we call our R1 release. So we actually upgrade a number of our pods or instances to the winter release. So those pods would be NA6, NA7, NA8, NA9, and NA13. So for any of you who are either working over the weekend or coming in on Monday, when you come in, the new release will be available to you if you are on one of those instances. For all the rest of you, the release will actually be the weekend after this one. So that's Friday the 10th and Friday the 11th and Saturday the 12th. So all of our EU instances, the remainder of our NA instances, and all of our sandboxes will be upgraded that weekend. Finally, just an explanation of some of the types of release features that we're going to be including. Now, this is important information because the features that you know and love that come in releases are generally what we call our GA features, GA meaning generally available. So generally available means that it is a full feature, fully tested, production ready, and it has all the features that are necessary and that you want. Generally available features typically are ones that are released as well to our entire customer set. In addition to those, we may or may not have beta features. Now, beta features are always made available typically to all customers, but only on an opt-in basis. So they're in your org, but you can choose whether to use them or not. Now, beta features are not quite complete, and we typically make them available to you for testing so that we can get feedback on the functionality. But we do commit to making them generally available, which is our standard release, within 2 releases. And finally, we also have pilot features, and this is an important one because we do have a pilot featured in this release readiness webinar. So a pilot feature is a limited availability set of functionality. So it's one that's normally made available only to a limited number of customers and on an invitation only basis. So like betas, pilots are there so that we can gather feedback and allow you to have your say into how the product works. But unlike betas, we don't commit to making these generally available. So a pilot may or may not be included in a future release. Just before we leave that, how do you get included in a pilot? The best way is to contact your account executive, or if you have a success team working with you, that's a CSM, a customer success manager, or a success account manager. Contact them, and they can get in touch with our product managers and ask for you to be included in the pilot. So no, we're not going to go into QA just yet. We're actually going to go into the main demo stage of our presentation. So I'm going to hand over to Kristen first. And Kristen, whenever you are ready to proceed.
All right, can you see my screen now?
Sure, I'm seeing it now. Thanks, Kristen.
Perfect. Thank you, Ana. So hello and good afternoon to all of you. Thank you so much for joining the Winter 14 Data.com release. My name is Kristen Clergett, and I am a Customer Success Manager for Salesforce, but focusing on the Data.com platform. And joining me today, I have Harish Perry, who is our Product Marketing Director. Harish, would you like to say hello?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Kristen, and thank you all for joining. I'm Harish Perry, Director of Product Marketing with Data.com, and I'll be doing the demo of Data.com after Kristen finishes her piece. And once again, thank you all for being on the call.
Yeah, that's right. Well, let's go ahead and dive right on in. So with just a little bit of background on Data.com, of course, with Data.com, we believe you have greater insight on, of course, your customers, along with increasing your sales. We know businesses like yourself are continually looking for an edge when it comes to how they sell, service, and market to customers. They're also discovering that making smarter use of complete customer data enables them to better predict trends, provide richer customer experiences, and ultimately drive higher sales and repeat customers. And in essence, customer companies need customer data to achieve their goals. When building these customer connections and driving success with the Sales Cloud, understanding and knowing more about who your customers are even before they become customers can help you better listen to every customer, engage with customers on every channel, and of course sell as a team. And when using Data.com, this allows you to make these connections with your customers by, of course, providing the leading business data, including account data, which is sourced from Dun & Bradstreet, and contact data, which is sourced from Data.com Connect. All of these resources are conveniently built natively within Salesforce, and you actually have access to them today. You also can stay up to date with your existing customers by utilizing the Data.com clean functionality. So now that I've really briefly reviewed just the benefits on Data.com, I'll go ahead and dive into what's new and improved. We've kind of broken them out into 3 different sections, being Prospector, Clean, and Data.com API Pilot. With our Prospector section, we now have improved linked records directly from your search capabilities. Excuse me. So now if you were to create a search using Data.com and stumble across a record that you already have in Salesforce, you can go directly to that record, and I'll dive a little bit more into that. We also have expanded our definition on what duplicates mean, along with enabled some state and country pick lists, and increased your export limit, which previously was a limit of 50,000 records at one time. So we've now doubled that to 100,000 records that you can download at one time. And then with the clean functionality, you now can clean by a list-based view. So you can essentially create a report based on the records you're happy with cleaning at one given moment. You also can flag as wrong or inactive back to data.com. We also have our social key, which is generally available for corporate and premium clean users, along with have introduced some metrics and analytic reporting capabilities with those social key functionalities. And then, of course, with that Data.com API pilot, our clean status and object has had some enhancements, along with the match capabilities and the search capabilities, again, utilizing that API limit there. So again, I'm just going to separate it a little on covering just our Prospector and clean, and then I'll dip into our social key and our API, and then we'll follow by Harish demoing all of these features. So again, the link to records from search, when utilizing Data.com Prospector, and again, that's just referring to the Data.com tab that you actually can locate today just by selecting your overflow tabs inside of Salesforce. You can actually go in and create searches or identify markets that might be your target niche, even if you don't have a Data.com license today, but it's worth your while to at least go try a search or two. But for those of you who do have a Data.com license, you also can identify records that already exist inside of Salesforce, here seen with a green dot indicator. This green dot was actually introduced a few releases ago. However, now the improvement is we can go directly to that contact record within your Salesforce instance. Or if by chance maybe you had duplicate leads, you now see this go to a list of leads, which will show you the 2 existing leads that you already have today. So it gives a whole lot greater insight, or you get a better knowledge of, what actually is included. And then again, we have expanded our definition, or what we consider a duplicate record. This is also pretty exciting to us. We now can specify if a contact record exists in your Salesforce instance. We can prevent you from importing that record, that very same person, in as a lead. So it used to be that we would consider that cross-checking, and we weren't able to identify one exists as the alternative object. So again, the vice versa rule applies. If you wanted to import a lead, but it actually has already existed as a contact, again, if you were to select this box that's located within your Data.com preferences section, we can prevent those records from being created and causing those duplicates to kind of clutter up your Salesforce. So again, pretty exciting. We've been eager to see this for some time. And you also have list-based clean. You now can update up to 200 records at a time. So again, you can create a list. So maybe it was records that were imported maybe from a trade show, or I don't know, your web-to-lead forms. You now can clean those in bulk. You'll notice a clean button up at the top of the list. You'll also notice this clean status appear, where you can review whether they are in sync or they are not compared, meaning we just haven't tried a clean comparison on those individual records at that time. You also can append your social handles. So again, utilizing that social key, I'll speak to a little bit more here in a moment, but we also will be able to append their LinkedIn or Facebook handles, Twitter handles, all sorts of good stuff here. So again, pretty exciting information as far as the list views and easy access to cleaning your data goes. And moving right along, again, with the clean component, you can flag as wrong, meaning when you are using Data.com clean against your Salesforce record, you can compare, of course, what you have in Salesforce versus what Data.com has. And if you discover that maybe we have a bad phone number, or this person is no longer with the company, you can report that right here within this comparison screen. You'll notice some of these buttons saying like feedback is sent to the data stewards for our data quality team to kind of review if they find, updates exist or are necessary for change. This also tells your users that, hey, someone has already tried to reach out to this person but found that they're no longer with this company. So again, kind of saves a little bit of time or headache in calling out to the same lead and finding the same information. So now just to switch gears just a little, I'll dip into our social key and API. The social key, again, very exciting to us. This is now generally available. Previously was piloted. This social key really gives you that 360-degree view on your contacts or your accounts. We now are able to leverage the clean component in pulling those social handles, as I previously mentioned, to, again, give that greater insight on what your customers are doing or what they're passionate about, or again, giving that better perspective. One tidbit is you must have the social accounts and contacts within Salesforce turned on. And again, this is only available to users who have purchased Clean throughout their organization. But again, this is very exciting, and Harish will describe a little bit more during his demo. And then alongside the social key metrics and analytics, we also have included some reporting capabilities so that, again, you can really view the impact that Data.com has provided on your contacts and where those updates exist. So, for example, you'll be able to see the social handle update rate, like how many of those records or leads have actually included a social handle. So again, really get a good understanding of what exists within your database. So that's pretty high level on what's to come. So Harish, if you don't mind walking us through what that all looks like.
Absolutely. All right, thank you, Kristen. That was a fantastic overview of the upcoming features in Data.com. What we're going to do now is switch over to a quick demo of Data.com. And what I'll do is I'll actually walk through the overall benefits of Data.com, and I'll make sure to call out what's new, because it's best if all of this is viewed in context, because I think that'll make sure that everyone has the same kind of level playing field. So to reiterate what Kristen mentioned in the beginning, there's really three core benefits of what Data.com provides. The first is it allows you to grow your business and really grow your pipeline without ever leaving Salesforce. You never have to import a list. You never have to manually enter data. You can prospect and get new accounts and contacts right inside Salesforce. The second thing is it really boosts your team's productivity because your team then always has access to real-time clean data, which means they're not calling the wrong number or going to the wrong address. It's always the best data at their fingertips, and so they can focus on what they do best, which is sell. And finally, with access to advanced data from D&B right inside Salesforce, when you combine that with our reporting capability, you can really unlock some pretty significant insights about your business. And so all the features that are coming out of the Winter 14 release really enhance those three key benefits, and I'm going to walk you through each of those. So what you see here on my screen right now is what we call our Prospector application. So this is really your main interface into growing your pipeline. This is where you would look for new contacts and accounts, and if you deem that they're a good fit, you can pull them right into Salesforce. And as you'll see, it's just another tab in Salesforce. We've intentionally built it that way to make it a very seamlessly tie into your business process. Now, what's in here is you can look for contacts, you can look for accounts, and for each of them, you can actually drill down very specifically by the location, by the industry, and even get down to the revenue or the employee bands, and be very, very granular in how you search. So what I've already done is I've set up some saved searches for myself to save me some time. And what I did is I created a saved search for accounts that are in my territory, let's say, which is in a specific region of the West Coast. And what you'll see is on the location side is pre-populated with the United States, and I picked a series of metro areas. And this is a pretty granular way for you to get down, down to the exact area that you're looking for. You see I selected 4 of them already. But I can also go down by zip code or by area code, and it's pretty granular in that way. The other thing that I did is I pre-populated an industry. And so what we have here is the NAICS or the SIC industry codes. And you can search by any of them, and you can get pretty low level with this, and you can get down to the specific sub-industries. So if I pick one, for example, I can drill down into the multiple sub-levels of the industry, and I can make choices at any level, and I can create very, very complex queries that way. So what you'll see now is, I have some results that came back from the search. But what's interesting here is a couple of them have these green dots on them, and this is one of the enhancements that we have in this release, which is, the green dot has existed for a couple of releases. What we did in this release is made it actionable. So if I hovered over this, what you'll see is it's telling me this record is already in Salesforce, but I have a link now to the exact account record. So I can click through on this, and it'll actually take me to the account record. So it's a great way to save time and also prevent duplicate data from entering my system right at the point of prospecting. So it's a great way, again, to keep your entire org clean and keep your team producing on an ongoing basis. So I'll just pick one of these accounts. I'll pick Netflix, for instance, and I will say add to Salesforce. And what this is doing is really, again, adding this account into Salesforce. But what it's done now is it's given me a way to grow my pipeline because I now have the data that I need, and it's allowed me to do it without fat fingering any data. So I haven't created any duplicate data or any bad data, and I've saved an immense amount of time, because if I go to the account object, what you'll see is it's already pre-populated with a lot of information. The SIC code, the NAICS code, the description, and a bunch of other fields, in addition to this DNB company field. And what this is if I click through to it, this is a business object, a Salesforce object that has over 80 fields of data from DNB. And I have this because I have the premium offering in my instance. But the great thing about this is it gives me access to a whole variety of segmentation and analysis data about this company. So if I'm trying to do territory planning, if I'm trying to do segmentation, I can get really, really fine-grained, and it is pretty much the industry-leading company data. So I can rest assured that it's accurate. My decisions will be accurate. One thing I want to call out about this is, really the crown jewel of the DNB data is a corporate hierarchy, and we have that embedded right here through the parent DUNS number, the domestic ultimate DUNS number, and the global ultimate DUNS number. And the great thing about this is this allows you to figure out where you're doing business across a corporate hierarchy. And if you're doing any kind of named account selling, you can really analyze where you've got opportunities today and where there's room to grow across a corporate hierarchy. And I'll show you a report based on that in a little bit, but I'm just want to call out that this is the data you have available from Dun & Bradstreet right inside of Salesforce. So going back to the account that I pulled in, companies are one part of the story, but ultimately I do business with people. And the great thing about Data.com is we've got access to the Data.com Connect database, but we also know who works where. And so we've actually combined the two to be able to search for people at companies. And the easiest way to do that is I click on Get Contacts. And what this is showing me is by level and by department who works or what contacts we've got in our database. And so let me just go ahead and click on engineering, for instance. If I'm trying to sell into this department, this is literally done a search for Netflix for this department. And I can further filter by level or by title. I can get very granular when I'm building my list. So I'm just going to pick one of these people here, add it to Salesforce. And right here what you'll see is prompting me to choose lead or contact. And for contacts, it's going to automatically associate it back to that account. So again, this is along the lines of I don't have to fat finger in any data. I don't have to waste any time in putting a lot of data. I just clicked a few buttons, and I was able to build my contact list, build my account list, and I can get back to my core job, which is calling down people and selling more. Right? So it's really helping you grow your pipeline and really grow your business with one click. So that's one piece of what we do. That's how you grow your pipe. But data by its inherent nature goes bad. The common stat is every 30 minutes you've got 75 phone numbers changing, you've got 120 addresses changing, 20 CEOs change jobs, 30 companies merge. There's a lot of data is a very, very flexible asset. And so you need something that cleans your data and keeps it up to date in real time. And so what this does, what the product that we have around that is our clean product. So if I head over to this contact for a second, what you'll notice is, it's a pretty standard contact record. It's got some fields on it. Some of them are missing. But what's interesting here is this thing called clean status. And it's pretty powerful in the sense that that's telling you the status of your data with respect to Data.com. Right? And what this is saying is this data is different. Data.com has some different data. And this is an opportunity to get your record in sync with the latest and greatest contact data. So I'm just going to go ahead and click on the clean button. And what you'll see now is in real time, it's compared your data against data.com, and it's showing you what the differences are. So it turns out that the title has changed, the phone number is actually, we have a phone number, and we have a complete mailing address. So I'm just going to click that, click on save, and what you'll see is now the clean status has changed to in sync, and this is pretty powerful because you now know that you've got the latest data and you can actually call down on this person. And if it's a stalled opportunity, you can move it forward. There's a lot of different powerful use cases that this enables. The other important thing for this release is, as Christian mentioned, Social Key is going to be generally available for all those customers that have corporate and premium clean. So to explain what that really is, we need to understand sort of what the social contacts is all about. Social contacts is an existing Salesforce feature. And what that does is it allows you to associate a contact or a lead with their Twitter, Facebook, or LinkedIn IDs. And you can view their feed in line. And that's a great feature, but the only issue with that is you still have to search, or up to now, you still have to search for those person's handles. Social Key changes that. What it does is behind the scenes, if you have it enabled, it will populate all the Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn IDs that it can find so that when you click on this icon, this just shows up. You never have to search for this person again. We pre-populate it for you. So from a benefit standpoint, it's, again, in line with what we do best, which is we give you the right data that you want, so you never have to search for it. You never have to enter it. You never have to dirty your CRM with bad data. So it takes care of all of that for you in one shot. And that's really what's going live, generally available for all corporate and premium customers. But on the topic of clean, what I showed you was one example of how you would clean a single record. But the magic of clean really is when it's at scale. When you run it across your whole CRM, or when you run it across a group of records. And the thing that's new about this release is you are actually able to run clean across a custom list, or across a list view. We're referring to that as list-based clean, essentially. So if I head over to my leads, what you'll see here is something that, for the marketers on the call, you're pretty familiar with. It's a list of leads. You may have gotten them through a web lead form or maybe a trade show, and what you're missing is a lot of important information: a title, phone number, where do they work. Some of the address information is missing or incomplete, and you really can't do anything with this until you append it with further data that'll actually make it actionable. For instance, for a lead nurturing or scoring process. So if I select all this, I say clean. What's new about Winter 14 is we actually now allow you to clean, up to 200 records in one shot from just kind of a list view. So I'm going to say, update my clean status and fill in the blanks. It's going to update it in real time. And what you'll see is it's telling me that for the 10 records that I selected, they were matched, and we've updated the status, and we've actually filled in the blanks where possible. So, what was an empty list is now a full list. You have the full addresses, you've got the companies. For leads, we even link it back to the D&B company, so you can do a very detailed company level segmentation for your leads if you're trying to run a very specific nurture campaign, for instance. So there's a lot of power that this enables, and you don't have to wait for each record to be cleaned individually, or you don't have to wait for the clean jobs to run in the background every night. You can really harness the power of clean in real time wherever you are for the exact records that you want. So that's something new for this release, and it really brings clean to life in the CRM. A couple of additional things that I want to point out for this release goes back to the prospecting piece, but it's more on the administration side. So if I head over to Setup, I head over to Administration. Not yet. If I go to Preferences, what you'll see new here is a Duplicate Preferences section. So this allows you to control whether or not you want to import dupes, and it's pretty important for contacts and leads. Because in the past we were allowing duplicates across leads and contacts, and now we put that control back in your hands. So that's something that is fits into your business process, and you can choose to do so. It's something you want to prevent. You can also do that. But ultimately, the point is more of the control to do with your data quality is now back in your hands. And actually, along the lines of data quality and stewardship, another big thing we've come up with this release is the flag is wrong or the report is inactive feature. So for that, I'm going to head back to a contact. I'm just going to pick a contact that I already have in my CRM. And what you'll notice when I click on the clean button is there's these little drop downs here, and this report is inactive. And this is extremely powerful because what this does is it puts the power of stewardship in your hands. So if you were to report this record is inactive, what this did is it sends a signal back to Data.com saying that you believe that this record is inactive, meaning this person is no longer just this job, or his, this is it shouldn't be listed as his record. And it's great input for us, because if we start to see a lot of these signals accumulate, we will take a further look and see if we need to fix this data. And what this is doing is taking that concept of crowdsourcing, which is what made Data.com Connect so successful, and we're bringing that power into your hands, because our customers are the ones that are front and center with this data, with their customers. And so any intelligence we can get from your end is going to make us better and make the overall Data.com asset better. Similarly, you can flag records as wrong. So for instance, if I look at this field, and it turns out his name is wrong, I can flag it as wrong to Data.com, and this is sending a signal back to Data.com that there may be issues with this record. The one caveat I want to point out is there is no set turnaround in terms of we will take action on this immediately. Since this is brand new, what we're doing is we're waiting on these signals to come in, and we're tweaking our algorithms to figure out how we will use the evidence that we're gathering to address these wrong fields. We also are going to send, for company data, we're going to send that data back to Dun & Bradstreet every month, and then they will do a similar process to assess if they need to fix it. So that's the sort of the action side of it is still evolving, but we're happy to collect as many signals as we can from the customer side. And then finally, the last piece that's brand new this release, which is something that we've been waiting for some time as well, is the Data.com API. And what that does is it deepens our connection into the Salesforce platform and really unlocks you as customers to power your specific use cases on our platform. So what we're doing is we're exposing our search capability, which you saw in the Prospector app, over the Salesforce API. So if you want to create an integration with marketing automation, that's now doable. If you want to create a custom app in Salesforce where you want to look at some specific lists and notify people when there are updates, you can do that. The Match API is also opening up as a pilot in the Winter 14 release. So what that means is if you want to create, if you have leads that are coming into your system and you want to enrich them before they get actionable, you can match them on the fly as they enter the system. You can enrich them and then send them off to another downstream processing. That's just a few, but there's a tons of use cases that get empowered by this, and it's something that we've been waiting for a very long time, and we're extremely excited that it's piloting in this release. And then finally, on the API lines, the clean status that I showed you here, this clean status is also going to be API accessible starting this release, which means if you wanted to build some custom process that said, I want certain clean statuses to be reviewed or different, because we have a variety of clean statuses. If certain conditions are met, you can write triggers or workflows to make that happen. So again, we're putting the power of data quality and data stewardship in your hands, and really saying, look, your business is best understood by you, and we're giving you the tools to make you as successful as you possibly can be. And that's really our motivation for these API changes. That's a quick overview of Data.com and what we have coming up in the release. I think I will hand it back now to Ina for Q&A.
Excellent. Harish and Kristen, thanks for that great overview, especially like the bulk clean feature. So as you said, yes, we are going to turn it over to Q&A at this stage. So this is your opportunity for anyone in the audience to ask questions. We have our product team online. And one thing I would like to emphasize is that, obviously this webinar covers new features in data.com. But if you do have questions about any other aspects of what Harish and Kristen have covered, they would be more than willing to answer those as well. So Jennifer, do we have any questions so far?
Oh, sorry, I had muted myself. Let's see, going through the list of questions here. The first question is really sort of generally about licensing. And do you need to license everyone in your org for Data.com, or can you pick a subset of your users?
Sure. Chris, do you want to take that, or I can answer that too?
Yeah, I can take it.
Go for it.
Great. So for Data.com prospecting, no, you do not need to license each and every one of your users. You can certainly hand select how many licenses you'd like to purchase and who you would like those profiles to be assigned to. And with those licenses, you actually do receive what we call manual clean. So you are able to have those allocated Data.com licensed users manually clean any Salesforce records. And when we are speaking to clean, if you are looking for any automation like that list view or the social handle or the social key, then yes, you would need to license each Salesforce license.
Okay, great. Going back to the demo that you did, Harish, I just wanted to touch on a couple of things here. The green dot for records already in your system, do you see the green dot appear even if you can't see the linked record due to security settings? Does that still show up for you?
Yes. So right now, we will show the green dot always. So if you're talking about sharing rules and such, we don't have that feature yet, where we where we respect the sharing rules right now. What you can do, when we've heard we've gotten this feedback elsewhere, is there is an admin setting where you can prevent imports and exports. So if you have a very tight permissions where you don't want people creating data, you can disable imports and exports from Data.com. So you can get pretty restricted with that if that is your org policy. But it doesn't look at your current sharing settings and then hide it if somebody else is looking at it.
Okay, great. You mentioned you also demoed the ability to save a search. Can you save a search for other users in your org, or is that a personal list only?
Yeah, it only applies to the logged in user. So it is you can't delegate that.
Okay, great. And then the last question I have here, you mentioned that commonly flagged records are going to get reviewed by Data.com. Does that mean people should encourage each of their users to vote for bad data, or does it matter if just one person, an administrator, votes for the bad record?
Yeah, I think we look at it at the org level. So we're not going to be, because also what happens is when anybody flags it in your org, the whole org then sees that flag. So it's kind of an org level thing.
Okay, great. Aina, I don't know if you have any other questions on your end, but that's what I had on my list.
No, none more coming in on this. So what we will do at this stage, let's leave the lines open just for another couple of minutes. And while we're doing that, I will do a quick reminder of our release readiness communities. So these are the ones I covered at the top of the call. And as I said, these are really easily accessible to you. They're accessible from either success.salesforce.com or from within your own Salesforce system. And they're collaboration groups that allow you to connect with experts in Salesforce and in our customer community. Our MVPs, we have consultants posting, we have a lot of internal experts, including product managers, and we'll be posting the recording of this deck on both of our release readiness groups. So that's Success Release Readiness Premier and Success Release Readiness. We'll also be posting, for any of you who think of a question afterwards, we'll be posting the FAQ from this and our previous Data.com webinar. But if you do have follow-up questions, you can simply post them on the community and we'll get to them there as well. So Jen, I'm not seeing any other questions at this stage. And I realize that it's getting on late in the day for our customers in North America and the start of the business day for our customers in Asia Pacific. So I'd like to say a big thanks to Kristen and Harish for giving us a great overview and a great demo of the Data.com features. For any of you who are taking part in the first release weekend, that's this weekend, You'll get a chance to play with those in your own production environment next week. For everyone else who is a Data.com subscriber, you'll get a chance to play with those features the weekend after next when you get upgraded. So within the next 10 days, these features are going to be live for everyone who subscribes to Data.com. Okay, so with that, we'll wrap up the call. Again, thanks to our presenters, and thanks to Jen for organizing all of this, and thanks to all of our audience for attending. Hope you found it useful.